Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about Intruder in the Dust, written by William Faulkner. Now, before we go into the summary analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. All right. So, within this work, we meet a black man by the name of Lucas. Lucas, he's been accused of murder, even though he didn't commit it. He's accused of killing this guy by the name of Vincent. Vincent is, this guy who works in lumber with his brother Crawford. And Crawford is the one who kills Vincent because he's been stealing some lumber and selling it by himself. He's supposed to be in a partnership with his brother, but he wants to make more money, greed. And so he kills the brother. Later, he kills another guy by the name of Jake Montgomery because Jake Montgomery was, discovering the body, digging up the body. So Crawford kills both of them. And then by the end of the novel, Crawford ends up committing suicide and dying in prison. But a lot happens before all of that. But the whole murder actually gets pinned on Lucas. Well, he's a black man, and the white people knew about it, especially within this community. They knew that it was Crawford that killed his own brother. It was over lumber, it was over money. But the white people who knew about it, they were definitely okay with Lucas being convicted and pretty much killed for this murder that he didn't commit. Um, I guess you can say it's definitely there is racism here, but uh, I think it's more or less about racism and more about it's just like it wasn't important to anybody that Lucas could die. Because I think a lot of times people view things in the lens of racism. Oh, they're doing this because they're racist, they're white and they're racist. But honestly, I think it's just you just don't care. I mean, it's like people have all types of emotions. It could just be like we know that Crawford is the one who killed his brother, and oh yeah, there's this black man that's being put on trial for this, and maybe they just didn't care enough to say anything about it. So that's another way to look at it. Yes, we can definitely say racism, but also at the same time, it's indifference. It's this means nothing to me, so I'm not going to do anything about it. So that's one way to look at this. So again, novels, works like this have many layers. You really have to look at them in many different types of ways. So Charles is a white kid within this work, and one day when he was hunting with his black slaves or just black servants here, um, he's a white guy that has a white kid that has black people who are his subordinates. He falls into the river, and Lucas tells him, "Hey, come with me." And Charles he dries his clothes. He gets some food, and he feels like he owes Lucas for the kindness. And he wants to repay him. I mean, he even buys some Christmas presents, offers him money, all these things to pay Lucas for his kindness. But Lucas didn't want anything from Charles, and Charles's pride gets hurt. And later, it's Charles that helps out Lucas because what happens is that Charles's uncle is a lawyer, and the uncle's name is Gavin, and Gavin thinks that Lucas did the whole thing. So this is where the racism comes in. Gavin just automatically assumes, oh, he's black. He definitely killed this white guy. So he's guilty. And then it's later until they find some hard evidence that Lucas had nothing to do with the murder. He was actually framed for the murder. That's when Gavin's like, oh man, he's actually not. He didn't do it. So that's all something that should be looked at here. So there's a lot of moving pieces within this work to prove that Lucas is not guilty. Ultimately, it's proven that he's not guilty. It was Crawford who used um, Lucas as a decoy for the murder because he knew that the community would just pretty much kill him and convict him and not blame him. He killed Jake because Jake was discovering his dirty laundry. He killed his brother because they were in a lumber business together and he wanted to make some extra money for himself on the side. So he kills his brother to make more money. And then, he pretty much was going to screw like three people. The black guy, Lucas, um, Jake, Montgomery, his brother, so that he can make more money. So you can see the darkness and depravity and horrible person within Crawford. So the novel does end with, the work does end with Crawford committing suicide in prison. Um, this man has no heart, no soul. So, if you're willing to kill your brother, who are you not willing to kill? Especially for a black guy. Um, you know, if you're living within a racist America, um, you know, when black people pretty much have no rights and you hate your brother, you can kill your brother. You could pretty much kill anybody because you don't even love your own family. So, what do you think about strangers? So Crawford's a very dark guy, very evil person with no heart, and ultimately he even murks himself. If you're willing to commit suicide, like, not even yourself is safe from yourself. That's quite dark, man. Like, when people have nothing left to live for, they are they're dangerous because there's nothing you can do to them to 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 have a little leverage over them. Be like, oh, if you do this, I'm gonna punish you. But if the person is ready to put the gun to his own head, like like, there's no power. You don't have any power over that person. They're just prepared to die for their cause, and those are the really dangerous people in the world. The people who are really ready to die for their cause. Think about the kamikazes in World War II. They're prepared to die for what they believe in. So that's something to think about. But in terms of deeper meaning analysis, Lucas, he goes free. He pays Charles's uncle, Gavin, in pennies for his services. Crawford dies, and there's lots of racism and black versus white and oppression and all that kind of stuff, that juicy stuff within the work. But what can we take from this in terms of analysis and deeper meaning? Well, a lot. There's so many nuance and layers to this work in terms of the relationship between black and white people, in terms of the darkness within people, the the greed that people often harbors within their own hearts, um, the way in which society plays a role in our lives. Because of the type of society that Lucas lived in, he was pretty much guilty just because he was near the crime. Like, it didn't even nobody even the police, like the community, nobody cared about looking for some hard evidence. They're like, oh, a white man is dead, a white man was shot, and he's somewhat connected to the crime. Well, of course he did it. That was the community. Um, you know, Intruder in the dust. Um, in terms of like racism and slavery and things like that, black people for a very long time were just looked at these outside people that were here, and they just had to be lived with. So in many ways, we can see black people as intruders, or as the misfits of American society for a very long time. It's not until, I would say maybe the 1980s, when I guess we can truly say that black people start to get a little comfortable in America. Because, 1960s are talking about civil rights and all that kind of stuff. 1970s, it starts to get a little bit better, but 1980s, it's not perfect, but you know, people going to school and integration, and 1990s, much better. 2000s, we're getting somewhere. Um, and I guess in the 2020s, guess we can say that the future looks bright, um, or it's getting better. Um, but there's lots of nuances within this work here. I mean, in terms of analysis, there's so many things to look at. You can look at black versus white. You can look at the siblings, um, Crawford and Vincent, their relationship. You can look at the greed. You can look at the digging up of bodies, Intruder in the dust. I mean, Jake was digging in the dust for bodies. Crawford was digging in the dust for bodies. Dead people's bodies were being flipped around. It's a lot of playing in the dirt. Um, and there's a lot of playing in the dirt here, between, uncovering secrets, digging up secrets, who's guilty, who's not guilty, the role of society in people's lives within this work. Um, so, Intruder in the Dust, I mean, you can't be more of an intruder than when you are bothering somebody's grave and digging up their bodies. Like, my goodness. Um, that's definitely an intruder. I mean, when you're trying to take your final rest, but your bones are being played with. Um, so that's another way to look at the title and see some deeper meaning within it. Um, so yeah, yeah. But at the same time, there's some hope within this work. I mean, Charles, his heart, how Lucas helped him and how he helps Lucas. That's very warm. And that gives hope, especially at this time period that the setting of this was written in. This white kid by the name of Charles, he saw that Lucas helped him out, and so he helps out Lucas, and that's pretty awesome. That gives you a lot of hope for the future, what America would become. So that's my summary analysis. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.